Right now, this is one of the world's most exclusive BMWs. It's called the BMW M4 GTS, and only 700 are being produced worldwide across both left-hand drive and right-hand drive configurations. Of those, just 23 cars are coming to South Africa, and all 23 have already been sold. It's based on the normal BMW M4 Coupe, but it borrows very heavily from its motorsport division to create what might just be the ultimate M4. That's quite a statement, considering just how quick, how competent, and in fact how challenging the standard M4 can be when driven with any measure of intent. But then the M4 GTS is quite a car. There's a lot more to this special edition than an eye-catching color scheme and a dash of extra power. Instead, it's a re-engineered, reimagined, and rebooted M4 that represents a focus shift from road to track. And that's apparent even before you get behind the wheel. If you like your motoring subtle and understated, the M4 GTS is not for you. It shouts performance with a capital P, and in fact it takes extrovert motoring to a whole new level. But the saving grace here is that none of these elements, not the big wheels, not that very extrovert splitter, not the massive rear wing, is there just for show, but all of those elements actually add to the car's dynamics. Indeed, the M4 GTS is all about enhanced dynamics, but the kind of enhancements you'd expect to find on a track day special. The rear wing is adjustable in 3 steps, and there are also 3 settings for the protruding front splitter. Add the adjustable coilover dampers, and you have a car that can be tailored for specific tracks and track conditions. All of those adjustments need to be done manually, however, the way a pit crew would tweak a car before a qualifying race. You even get a special toolkit for the purpose. The driver still gets to set drivetrain parameters such as throttle response and steering assistance at the push of a button, however. The M4 GTS interior is a strange mix of stripped-out race car and luxury coupe. To save weight, it has these very lightweight carbon fiber seats. It has no rear seat whatsoever, and it has a lot of lightweight materials, all to bring the mass of this car down. But it still has a lot of the bells and whistles you'd expect of a normal M4, including central locking, electric windows, aircon, and of course, satellite navigation. By the way, the roll cage is part of what BMW calls the Club Sport package, a no-cost option that includes the fire extinguisher. 5-point harnesses can be easily fitted too. It underscores the track-focused nature of the M4 GTS and is a worthwhile addition given the car's considerable performance potential both on the road and on the track. Given the amount of carbon fiber reinforced plastic employed to keep the weight down, however, this is one car you really don't want to damage. The M4 GTS is powered by a specially adapted version of BMW's straight-six 3-litre turbocharged engine. It produces 368 kilowatt of maximum power as opposed to the standard car's 317 kilowatt, and it does so by using a special water injection system. The torque is also higher, going from 550 newton meters to 600 newton meters. Drive, of course, in the classic sports car sense, still to the rear wheels via a 7-speed M-DCT dual-clutch gearbox. The water injection system utilizes 3 injectors to feed 2 cylinders each, while the 5-litre water reservoir and pump are situated under the boot floor. The engine's extra urge is sonically expressed via a special lightweight exhaust system with a titanium silencer. And yes, it sounds spectacular with an aggressive roar under hard acceleration that is spine-tingling. It's the perfect soundtrack for an exceptional driving experience. With a power-to-weight ratio of 244 kilowatt per tonne, this M4 GTS is easily the fastest and most exciting production M4 in the history of BMW. Not that the M4 has been around that long, but it's still saying something. The stats are pretty impressive stuff. 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds, top speed 305 kilometers, and the good news is that this car feels every bit as quick as those figures suggest. The test car was set up for the smooth surface of the new Kyalami Grand Prix circuit, and as a result, the suspension settings were too hard for some of the bumpier country roads we attacked in the car. Even so, the GTS pushes the envelope of what is possible from a road-legal car with track day aspirations. The standard M4 is already a very taut sports coupe, but this car, this GTS, really feels like a race car. It's very hard, it's almost to the point of becoming bumpy and uncomfortable. But the upside of that is that you really, really feel what this car does. You know every move, every inch, in fact, every millimeter. Of course, with the lack of any sort of sound deadening, the whole experience is very much up close and personal. The steering wheel is meaty, the engine sounds fantastic, and you really, really just want to drive this car harder and harder. But I suppose it would be better on a racetrack than on public roads. Sadly, with only 23 cars on offer in South Africa and such a limited worldwide build, not many of these M4 GTS specials will spend much time being exercised in the way they should. Instead, a lot of them will languish in private collections and only be paraded on special occasions. That's a pity, because the spiritual home of this car is the racetrack, and it's at its very best driven with real vigour. The BMW M4 GTS is a hard, uncompromising, track-focused sports machine that feels out of sorts around town and on normal roads. It's also about as subtle as a sledgehammer. And yet, this car has a very special appeal, despite a 2.2 million rand asking price, which is R1 million more than the standard car. However, once you get behind the wheel of this machine, you'll never want to drive anything else. So it's just as well they've all been sold. Most of us can only dream of owning this ultimate version of the M4. It's certainly the most performance-focused expression of the M-car art, so much so that its talents are best explored on a racetrack. That said, it's quite superb, carving its way through a mountain pass, while the two-seater cabin retains most of the important comfort kit. You pay a lot for the extra urge and the exclusivity, though.